Hello and welcome to Shy Talk, an Irish history podcast. My name's Kevin Larney, and this is the first episode of season 6 of the show, that's pretty decent going, I guess. Jason's not here with me, unfortunately. I think at the minute he's flying somewhere between LA and Austin after his successful visit to Nakatomi Plaza, but we'll hopefully be able to record an intro together for the first time. It feels like it's been a long time since we've done an intro with the two of us, but we'll try and rectify that. But this is the first normal episode after the Cowboy special. Thanks a million to everyone who subscribed to the Patreon or bought the episode on Buy Me a Coffee, and we got a lot of positive feedback on it from everyone who listened to it, so that was great. Really enjoy hearing nice things about it from strangers, and nothing at all from Quinn's legal team, apart from one person bought the episode on Buy Me a Coffee under the name Quinn's legal team, which I saw at about 1 a.m. on a Friday when I was quite drunk, which set off a couple of minutes of panic. So thanks for that, whoever that was. But this week's episode is actually one we recorded a while ago. I don't think there's any dated references in it. It's as topical as it was 3 months ago. Nothing's changed since then. But it's an episode Jason read to me about a pint-drinking, ghost-speaking 18th century Dublin poet by the name of James Clarence Mangan. And it's a very fun episode, so it's good to be back. Thanks for sticking with us, and hope you enjoy the episode about James Clarence Mangan.
Gather around now, you're in for a story. Old tales of lore, all in search of a glory. The history and mystery of lads, lasses and all. Discoveries and voyages, the rise and the fall. Follow me now as we go back in time. We trace the steps of Irish lineage to find. Jason from Carlo and Kevin the dog guide you through the ways of Shy.
My first note for this whole thing just says, to the tune of 7 cups of coffee and a slice of apple strudel, by little known but fantastically respected Irish rap duo from the early 2000s, Messiah J and the Expert.
Okay, right. I have no idea what that is.
Well, it's not going to be important because now we have Dan's intro we use for every episode, so I was going to probably use that, but then
I see.
I just wanted to let people know that that's the song I would have used if we didn't have an intro song.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that song, and they're playing it in their head now.
Yeah, well, everyone should just pause the podcast, go listen to that song, come back. It has nothing to do with the podcast. This is very good. But, Kevin, if walls could talk, I'd be paying a certain house on Clarence Mangan Road, Dublin 8, a visit to say, shut your feckin' mouth, you rat. You're a tout for the Gardaí. James Clarence Mangan was born in Dublin, May 1st, 1803. That's the year, Kevin. I'm not privy to the time of his birth.
3 minutes past 6. That makes him an Aquarius.
Is it? No, I think that's based on the month. Well, I did say May. Do you know star signs? Do you know a lot of trivial nonsense? Well, you definitely do. I'm friends with you. I've known you for years.
I know all the star signs.
But anyway, Mangan was born to his parents, James and Catherine with the C.
Controversial.
His dad was a hedge school teacher and ran a grocery store, while his ma had the hardest job of all, being an Irish mammy to a boy with notions.
Yeah, the most undervalued job in the country.
Yeah, our poor mothers, Kev. Fair play to them.
Yes.
Now, his dad had taken over the grocery business from his wife's family up in Dublin, and that eventually turned the family into a very, very bankrupt household.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. It's always the way. You get some money, the dad blows it. I think our dad's generation might have fixed that, but their dad's generation just squandered.
It goes in cycles. I've noticed this has come up an awful lot where, like, someone will just marry into... he was the man of the household. He ran the grocery, but he ran the grocery because it was his wife's family's, and he just got it.
Yeah, and then you just run it into the ground.
Yeah,
like a cracker factory.
Yeah, like a certain cracker factory. So wait, where was this grocery then? If it wasn't his family's up in Dublin, but where is he?
No, they're all from Dublin.
Oh,
he was born there. The parents were already up there.
Okay.
By the time young Mangan's born, they're all up in Dublin. I'm not sure where his dad's from originally, but could be Dublin. He's up there anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they're very bankrupt because of all the lavish parties, the bad business investments. You know, your standard list of how most men throw away their cash back then.
Of course. He mixed up hedge schooler with hedge fund manager. He just went mad.
Mangan would later reference his dad as a princely soul, but no prudence.
Okay. Yeah. So
Which is
shit with money.
shots fired at the time.
Yeah.
Now, that didn't stop Mangan Jr. from attending a Jesuit school. Not sure of the name of it, but it was in Saul's Court. I like when I have to Google places in Dublin for research and then realise I've spent most of my adult life right beside that place. Like every week. Usually a few times.
Where is it?
It's that place in Cowes Lane. You know that lane in Temple Bar that leads up to Dame Street?
Yeah.
It goes down to a church. You know the Queen of Tarts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that bakery place. That
Okay.
place.
Saul's Court.
Yeah, and I had to Google it, and I found two things. One, that I hope it's still there. Actually, there's an old man sat down beside a teenager wearing very short shorts, like so high he could have been a GAA player in the 80s. For our American listeners, that'd be an NBA player in the 70s.
All right.
For our non-sports reference listeners, shorts so high he could have been walking into Coppers on a Tuesday night on the hunt for a country policeman. Not much more than a belt. Now, that's clearly a joke that I wrote pre-pandemic. Or probably in the midst of a pandemic when I was like, hey, life will be back to normal come August.
Better get ready.
Now, the old man on Google Earth has a book, and he's shown it to the young lad. But I don't think he's his granddad or anything. I just think he's showing him a piece of paper that says, your shorts look ridiculous. Where's the rest of them?
Oh, I thought the old lad had the shorts. What a twist in this story.
That would have been even better if he was trying to relive past glories from back in the day.
Yeah.
Kick the ball, Johnny. Kick the ball. Yeah. No, I don't think. Yeah, I genuinely don't think he knows him, and it's the young lad wearing the shorts.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's his granddad. I think he's just like a remnant of a bygone time in Ireland.
Maybe he's showing him a picture of trousers.
Well, if he was thinking about trousers, he'd only have to turn around and look at the other thing that I found on Google Earth, Kev. Thunder Solace leather designs.
Okay.
It's not too important. It's just the fact I didn't know there was a leather shop there.
Yeah.
Which made me then think, did I ever show you the John Quirr YouTube channel?
No.
I hope now I don't ruin it by blowing it up. JOHN space CUIR. The last time I checked at the writing of this, there was about nearly 2,000 subscribers. Over 2,500 uploads, probably close to 3 now. Now, John likes to put up mostly Irish women in leather.
Right, that's his whole thing.
That's it. It's like TV3, Grania Shoga wearing a leather skirt or leather pants.
He's taken clips from Irish television.
Any part of Irish television, be it old or new, and he just puts up clips of, it could be like a TV3 fashion show, and it's not sexual. It could be like leather boots, and he just always puts up
a little sexual.
Now, it's not always. To be fair, it is mostly Irish women in leather.
Okay,
but he's been there now for about 4 years online. He has over 3 million views.
Yeah,
a few hundred on each. A few big ones. Actually, anything from Fair City to Ireland AM or the 5 o'clock show, or some classics like Bachelor's Walk. There's a really good Bachelor's Walk video. There's a scene I watched that they had Dreams from Fleetwood Mac. Remember when RD had money? Yeah. Proper Celtic Tiger. They're like, let's put on Dreams from Fleetwood Mac over Bachelor's Walk, like a party scene.
How much will it cost? I don't give a fuck. We'll play the whole Rumours album back to back.
John Quirr only follows again. I don't know if that's his real name. I hope it isn't.
It's definitely you.
It's not me. I wouldn't be talking about it.
How did you find this video?
James sent it to me.
James Mangan.
He follows 2 channels on YouTube, both dedicated to women wearing leather on TV.
Okay.
Like, just not Irish ones. So there's obviously some kind of community here. The last thing I'll say about it is that there's a Ray Darcy clip of a lap dance on a floor that I just can't describe. So look it up, but not on your work computer.
Okay. Is Ray Darcy giving the lap dance?
No, it's like a lap dance competition on the Saturday Night Show or something, and it's some country book just gyrating, and it's fantastic.
That sounds intense. On this,
it is.
God, the Saturday Night Show.
Don't do it in work. Go home.
Close the curtains.
Yeah, close the bathroom door, make sure you've got some tissues. Now, it was in the Jesuit school in Saul's Court, Temple Bar, that Mangan learned some culture. Definitely languages anyway, as he could speak Spanish, French, Italian, and the most pointless yet most important language of them all, Kevin. Latin.
Latin. I was going to guess Irish, but it was, yeah.
I'd put in Irish is the other joke answer I have here. It basically works vice versa. You could just interchange them.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you hear these people in the past who knew 7 languages, and not that I'm skeptical, but like, how would you know?
Like, I'd like to see them have a conversation with people from 7 different countries. You're like, yeah, I can speak Spanish. I've never seen you talk to a Spaniard.
Have you ever met a Spaniard? Listen, as soon as you meet one, wheel him down here. I'll prove you wrong. He's got a different dialect.
It's like how we say we speak English, but then you go to the UK or America and nope.
Yeah.
It's just clean. It's obviously not true. But with the family in financial troubles, he'd have been forced to leave his schooling behind in search of work, and he found it. He was a scrivener's clerk. That's a typist or a copier or a notary. He did that for about 7 years.
He was the clerk to a typist.
And a notary.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of... I think he was just good with words.
Sure, but, he's a notary's notary. Surely is that not like...
The copier's copier.
Yeah, that's their job. And he's just adding a little flourish.
He was there for 10 years, or you could condense that down to 7 because no one seemingly remembers.
Right.
But he started doing that when he was about 15. He worked in an attorney's office for 3 years as well. Again, copying stuff and all that crack. He would also pick up jobs along the way in the Ordnance Survey Office or the library in Trinity College. He didn't like those jobs though. But you're not meant to like your job, Kev.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I think that's more accurate than people let on. If you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. You won't get paid. You won't get hired.
No, you can be happy in life, Kev. You know, I can't, but you can.
Someone could, in theory.
But during his time working in these places, he'd also do a little bit of writing. He contributed writings to famous publications like The Comet, the paper ran by the Comet Club. We might have to do an episode about them someday.
They love
that's
comets.
Where he'd send his first translations from German. Using the languages and the copy.
Okay.
Yeah, putting it all together.
Yeah.
The Comet Club was it was a bunch of forward-thinking soundheads, literary people and the like. I got that from their YouTube about page as well.
Okay, but so yeah, they describe themselves as soundheads.
Yes. Yeah. That was definitely not just my interpretation.
Of course. And now I'm sorry I disparaged him earlier on saying that I have no idea why I said he couldn't speak all those languages. Here he is already proving me wrong.
Well, he's one language.
You know what? You're right. I'm back against him. Translate Spanish, why don't you? Translate Latin. Let's see you then.
If you're gonna have a hot take, if you're gonna start attacking someone's character, Kevin, stick to it for at least 3 of the 7. If we can find out him doing 3 of the 7 languages, then you could start to think about.
I don't know what evidence you have in the rest of this story. I just want to hedge my bets. I want to be both for and against this. I want to come out on top.
But I assume that it was like an old school hot press.
Oh yeah, okay. The magazine.
Like the Comet, yeah, the magazine.
I thought you were talking about his house.
No.
So he was writing. He was translating bits from German to put in the Comet magazine.
Yeah, like an 1800s Olaf Tyransen. What was his name?
I don't know.
The guy from Hot Press.
Oh yeah, did he write all of it? His Hot Press is done now.
Is it online?
Oh, maybe it's online.
Is he still there? I don't know.
Who knows?
That's just a name I remember from a byline. But in 1818. Mangan's first poems were published, and 2 years later, he finally adopted the middle name Clarence. His name wasn't actually Clarence.
He adopted the middle... Is this like a Writers Guild thing, where there was already a James Mangan on the scene, and he had to be James Clarence Mangan?
No, it's kind of like how, if ever I have to write something, I'll use my middle initial, just to make myself seem more intelligent.
Of course, right.
Yeah, you'd be surprised what a pair of glasses and a middle initial will do for you.
I don't think I would be that surprised. I've gotten an awful long way on just that. My name's Kevin J. Larney, and yes, those are my glasses. I can't see very far.
No, there's not any lenses in them.
I'm too intelligent to be able to see distances.
Yeah, I think he took the overriding idea, I think, is that he took the name from Shakespeare's Richard III, or George III.
But he didn't take Richard or George.
No.
He took Clarence.
Also, it could have been a different Shakespeare play. It's some Shakespeare play.
It could have been a different Shakespeare. Could have been Rob Shakespeare.
Yeah, regardless, notions, Kev. You're going to adopt a middle name and you're going to take a Shakespeare character.
Yeah.
I've been to 2 Shakespeare plays in my life, and one of those was a thing called Shit-Faced Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it was one person in the cast has to get hammered directly before the gig, and it's great.
Yeah.
I think it was a Midsummer's Night's Dream.
I'm sure the entire time while you were sitting there with your legs crossed and your glasses on, middle initial ready to throw at anyone who asked, yes, this is a Shakespeare play. I believe this young Bill Shakespeare, an up-and-comer, but I see a lot of promise.
All of these people he has behind him writing his plays for him, they seem quite talented.
Yeah.
They should form some sort of a collective, a la Banksy.
Is that Middle Eastern Banksy?
No, because there are actually like Middle Eastern Banksies. They live in Brooklyn. They had to leave Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan.
The whole job.
Or one of them
to leave the West Banksy.
One of those nations that's in that Ian Brown song.
Yeah.
The other I did watch Hamlet as well for the Leaving Cert, so that counts.
Yeah.
And, I was in Kilkenny a couple of years ago and I saw an all-female cast of the Taming of the Shrew. They were from the Globe Theatre in London. They were touring around. It was good. But back to Mangan. He would do bits for the Dublin University, which was actually, no, now that I think about it, that's great. Because didn't Shakespeare used to be all men? And then now it's an all-female cast.
Yeah, but everything used to be all men.
Yeah.
I think there was a story about James II from that long saga on James II. Apparently, it's definitely not true, but it was something like there was a delay in the second half of a play he was watching, and it was because one of the actors playing a female character had to shave, and he was like, for fuck's sake, just put women on stage instead, let's go! And apparently after that, they cast women in female roles.
A watershed moment.
Yes, yeah, just because none of that story makes sense. Well, I suppose maybe he was shaving his legs in between scenes, I don't know.
Should have done that beforehand. But
he should have.
Yeah, Mangan would do bits for the Dublin University magazine, but he was a tough man to tie down because of the old drinking and the crack.
Yeah. Now, usually, are you going to tell me that there's an Irish artist from the 1900 period who was fond of drinking, overindulged?
Just a tipple. Just the old tipple.
My God. Next you'll be telling me he wrote lots of poems about fields.
The Nation would hire him in 1842. The publication, not the country.
Yeah.
But
well, or was it, Jason?
Well, he was doing the work of the people, Kev. So in
Yes.
that sense, yes, it is by the Nation. But the Nation would have to cut ties with him as well for the exact same problems. Now, that wouldn't stop him from getting published in the United Irishman as well as the Irish Tribune, the Irishman, and my favourite name, Duffy's Irish Catholic Magazine. Duffy's, a monthly review devoted to national literature, the fine arts, antiquities, ecclesiastical history, biography of illustrious Irishmen, and military memoirs. Probably horoscopes too. Not sure.
Really had it, yeah. But the horoscope section every week was just filth, anti-Catholic, pagan worship. Wrong.
Yeah, you had that, and then you had Garfield.
Yeah.
Do you know the one thing I like more than lasagna?
The Lord.
Sectarian abuse.
These all sound like great. I suppose we're always reading about like the famous people from this time, but also, did everybody write for the Nation? I don't think anyone that was alive in the 1840s or 50s didn't have a column in the Nation.
We probably like getting into the DCU student paper. Did you ever write for that?
I was on the front cover of it.
So no is the answer. In these times
Man
where
causes havoc.
I wrote that story.
You did, actually. That's how we met.
Drunk
Drunk man climbs pole in DCU Centre.
Yeah, Olaf wasn't happy about that. He was like,
He wasn't at all, no.
It's his own fault for being 6'5". You're 5'8". You're gonna climb things.
He had more complaint from you, though. I mean, he had a name. There's no need to be calling him the pole.
But
He was really annoyed when the DCU pole vaulting team got hold of it.
But in these times, Mangan finds himself when he's writing and having these notions. He's becoming an artist, Kevin. He doesn't want the man telling him he has to work a 9 to 5. You know, he wants to grow his hair out in a man bun, wear wooden beads on his wrist, get a tattoo on his arm of a city skyline, But all the buildings are the tallest buildings in all of the cities he's been around the world, from every continent. He'd be the kind of guy you'd see in Bernard Shaw before it got closed out, wearing a €200 coat. You know, he says he found it in a charity shop, but he's drinking pints of Fentim and sours with Angostura bitters and a slice of lime for €8 a pop. But then he'd ask you for change for the bus home. You know the sort, Kev.
He smokes rollies, but by choice.
Yeah. My friend James. That's who it is. Or just anyone in a band in Dublin, basically.
Yeah. Well, pretty much anyone you would have found in the old Bernard Shaw smoking area.
You can also tell that I wrote that pre-lockdown as well, because Bernard Shaw's gone now.
It is gone, but I was gone before the lockdown. And when it closed down, everyone was... I mean, it is a shame that it's gone. It's a great place. But it wasn't exactly like the bohemian bastion that people made it out to be. It was expensive as fuck. It was a really expensive South Dublin bar that had a great smoking area.
Really expensive. But thankfully, they were either very okay with or just didn't have a great sense of smell, because easy place to smoke cheeky joints under the table. And that'd bring the cost of the entire thing way down.
Yes, and great pizza.
Yeah,
I never brought it back up again.
That did actually, yeah, but their pear and whatever pizza, pickle pear pizza. Ho ho.
Yeah. Walnuts is a pizza topping, that's all I'll say. That was a revelation from that place.
In fairness, yes. Everything, I'm going to miss that. Hopefully the bus stays somewhere else and just it's the place that's gone. But anyway, we'll stop telling people from other countries about the beautiful pizza you might be able to get in Dublin if it ever opens up again.
Well, it is the same pizza that does it out of that place in Phibsborough, the back page. So anyone who is in Dublin, order it from there.
Go there, perfect. Now, so this next piece isn't proven anywhere, but I think...
Oh, but sorry, yeah, so Mangan's like, he's ticking all the boxes to become an artist. He's got the drinking problem. He's got the underappreciated job where he basically is writing all the time. He's got published in The Nation. He's ready to go.
Well, yeah, and he's friends with like a bunch of Republicans at that stage.
Even better,
because he's worked in a bunch of Republican newspapers. So Thomas Davis, the leader and organizer of the Young Ireland movement, another Republican we've heard of before, actually wrote Mangan's biography. John Mitchell of Shite Talk fame.
Yeah, sure. Old Mitchell. He wrote the biography of Mangan.
Yeah, and actually it said that, now this, I don't have any proof for this next part, but I think Mangan might have told Mitchell that he was in a relationship, possibly an affair, that ended, thus causing him an awful sadness for the rest of his days. Now, might this be the woman? Oh, my dark Rosleen, do not sigh, do not weep. The priests are on the ocean's green, they march along the deep. There's wine from the royal pope upon the ocean green, and Spanish ale shall give you hope, my dark Rosleen, my own Rosleen.
It could have been.
It's not. It's about Ireland. It's about Ireland as a representation as a woman, Kevin.
I thought it was a man called Ross.
No, I tricked you. Because Ireland's the cruelest mistress of them all. It's the one that got away. You can't stay with her, but every moment you're apart, you can't help but be reminded of her.
Yes.
You know, she's emblazoned herself upon you, Kev. She's made her mark. She'll ruin every relationship with every other country, even if she doesn't know about them. The ungrateful, sadistic, beautiful shite.
Yes.
I'm homesick.
You are, yeah. But you keep making grand gestures for Ireland every couple of years. You stage a rebellion, and then she's like, no.
Nah, it's not right. Not yet. Yeah.
I don't know. Try harder next time.
Well, I don't know if I could marry a country. It's a big ask.
It is.
No, just in general, I don't know if I have the confidence, because I tend not to date girls that are taller than me, or even my height. So it's a bit of a stretch.
You're afraid of powerful women.
I am.
And are therefore afraid of a country of 5.5 million people.
Who are notoriously docile when it comes to wars. We just stay on the outside.
Yeah.
So, now, I'll get on to his drinking to give you some backstory.
Please do.
Obviously, Mangan's da liked the sauce, so he didn't lick it off a stone. Of
course. No, I mean, if you're in the greengrocer hedge fund manager game, it's a party. Yeah. It's a scene.
Now, the apple didn't fall too far from the alcoholic tree, with Mangan being a fan of the pint, and an owl bit of laudanum.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what that was, so I'll explain it for the listeners. Obviously, you and your drug ways know far more than I do, Kevin. But that's when you'd take some alcohol and feck in about 10% of opium in there.
Yeah.
Some buzz.
Yeah.
It was used back in the day to for anything to cure pain, insomnia, female problems, to stop crying babies, killing your wife or husband accidentally, if they got a bit lippy. A genuine cure-all.
You wonder how anything got done back in the time. I mean, when you were just sipping away on
Oh,
laudanum.
yeah, when opium was around. They had to take that away from Irish people.
Yeah.
But they left us with alcohol. They're fine with that, but the laudanum.
I'm sure in 200 years, people will be looking back at this time where we like self-medicate between caffeine and alcohol every day, uppers and downers, morning and night. Like, how the fuck did they do anything? Very erratically.
Yeah, well, that's uppers in the morning, downers at night's a pretty good way to live. It does affect your sleep, the quality of your sleep, but Christ, it's the only way to get things done in 2021.
Yeah.
But why can't we have it these days? We're not allowed opium or any of that stuff nowadays. Do you know why, Kev?
The man.
Big pharma.
Yeah.
Coming in here telling me what drugs I can and can't take so they can line their coffers. Because if I want to double drop a thalidomide and wash it down with a few pints of laudanum, that should be my given right as an Irish citizen.
Yeah. I'm sick of Big Pharma always being like, hey, you, get off my farm. Leave my sheep alone.
Stop taking my opium.
Did you just say on the podcast how to make laudanum there?
I think I did.
Yeah. Do you remember from I think the first episode we recorded and I explained in detail how to make crack?
Yes.
Yeah, and then I left it out. I don't know if I'd make that choice again now.
Well, I take it that laudanum line stayed in.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're changed men now.
Yeah. Well, he wrote a poem about it. It's called a 60-drop dose of laudanum, which sounds more like a West Coast gangster rap from the 90s, Kev.
60-drop dose of laudanum.
But the 1890s, because
Yeah.
rap was very big in Mayo back in the time.
Yeah, they just discovered full sentences there, and they were ready to start experimenting.
Well, actually, now if I've already given Messiah J a shout out, This Side Up, they're from Sligo. I don't think they're together anymore, but they were a good rap group from a couple of years ago. I like them. Billy No Mates is a good song about cocaine. Now, Clarence Mangan loved the drink and the drugs, but he didn't care too much for food. Go on.
No, I was just going to say when you said like a 60 drop of laudanum, I was like, that's a bit of a weird title for a poem. And then within 2 sentences, there's a rap called Cocaine. It happens all the time now. I don't know why for a second I was like, that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
Imagine if these days if people were writing songs or raps about drugs.
Or double dropping yolks with a former president of Ireland.
It's like 30% of all media.
Now, so Mangan liked the drink and the drugs, but didn't care too much for the food, as is often the case with those sorts. Often taking days off eating. So you can imagine what he looked like, Kev. Have a go.
Very skinny, I would imagine.
Yes, and malnourished from all the drinking and acting the thick.
But, has anyone ever considered that the food in Dublin in the 1870s or wherever we are now, it's not great?
No, I suppose that would be fair. But even if it's not great, it is food.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you got laudanum and drink.
You've sold me.
Yeah.
I've flipped. Now, Mangan, he's very skinny and malnourished. Not too important, because he's a stylish man. He's a man about town, Kev. Big, colourful glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And they're tinted, so they'd cover the shade of his eyes. I think John Lennon or Noel Gallagher.
Yeah, right, so he's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
A novelty in Ireland at the time.
And
today, these are sunglasses, and they'd say, what glasses? And you'd be like, it'll happen. Just wait for that one weekend in June. You'll know all about it.
I've never owned a pair of sunglasses in Ireland.
It's pointless.
No, because I'd be too afraid I'd be the type of fella who'd wear them inside.
You would be that type of person. It's probably a prudent move not to have them, yes.
Oh, and on top of the glasses, he had a bunch of big, frilly, adventurous shirts. Like that awful comedy promoter in Dublin. He was known to don a big green cape and carry around a big fancy umbrella, even in the summer.
My God.
He doesn't understand the weather of Ireland.
Well, no, I was going to say he's like every country dad up in Dublin for the day. They've got the umbrella, they've got the galoshes, they've got the sunglasses, a packed lunch because everywhere's too damned expensive. They've got a big map, a wad of 50s, and
a backpack full of tinfoil covering up 74 ham sandwiches.
Yeah, and preconceived notions about drug addicts in the North Inner City. And ones with blue hair.
Well, he actually did, he didn't have colourful hair, but I'm surprised he didn't, because he would go. He had a big giant witch's hat, Kev, like a Harry Potter style, deciding what house you're going into kind of hat.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, he looks amazing. He looks like someone who would actually be in the Bernard Shaw. It's incredible.
Very much so. Who would have went to an awful lot of expense to dress up in a random quirky fashion and then stand there like it wasn't any big deal.
Yeah, no, this is how I live my life. It's normal.
Yeah. This is just how I am. This is how I express myself, naturally, and not through a series of very particular choices.
Like calling yourself a necromancer.
Yes.
Because that's what Mangan did.
Okay, so what, like, a necromancer is trying to reanimate the dead?
You can talk to the dead, I think, and have conversations and stuff with them. Yeah,
I can talk to the dead.
you do
They
that, and
just don't talk back. Very one-sided.
yeah, he communicated with spirits and then would write poems and stories about long, deep conversations. So he was cracked. It'd be a nice way to say
I
it.
think that's probably fair, yes.
Or a more apt, full-blown mentaler.
Yeah. I mean, much like all of the poets of Ireland, they sound great and their work is fantastic. If you had to talk to them for more than 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I don't know if
It'd
there's
be
a
mad.
person that ever lived. Like, I love Patrick Kavanagh's work. I think I would hate Patrick
Oh
Kavanagh.
my god. And he'd hate us. Imagine if me and you were in the same, he'd like getting us to buy him drinks and then he'd spit in your cup and write an angry poem about you.
But now, this is where a quick reference to the point that when he was younger, he was a typist and he would take notes, a scrivener's clerk, that kind of crack. And then
Yeah.
he would translate German. And then
Yes.
he would talk to ghosts and then tell their stories.
Yeah.
So far, he hasn't actually written anything.
I was going to say this. Yeah, so he was translating a lot of stuff. Did they like turn in Faust or, I don't know, one of those other big German works that people know from the time?
It was a good. You got one, and then you should have
Yeah.
left it at that, Kev.
They should have. It felt like the start of a list.
Yeah, you got confident, and then you couldn't even put a second thing to it.
He turned in Handel's Messiah.
I thought you
famous-
could have just said Mein Kampf,
Yeah,
but technically that's Austrian. So, but,
and also
he-
like 40 years too early. But yeah,
he's wrote by this stage now. He's
but
wrote.
also, I mean, he obviously wrote the ghost stories himself. He wasn't actually transcribing stories from ghouls. If he was, this is a much bigger story.
No, that's what he's saying, that he would have these long conversations,
Yes.
and then he would just tell those stories. That's not. He hasn't wrote anything. Are you trying to tell me that he wasn't a necromancer?
I am saying,
Because watch your lips.
or he'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, he's no R.L. Stein. He's a proper necromancer. He's out there. He's not imagining this stuff.
R.L. Stein could talk to ghosts.
Yeah, it's thought that over the space of his life, he wrote about 1,000 poems, but of varying quality, obviously. Known for the phrase "great minds
Quantity
thinking
over
alike."
quality. Oh, okay.
He was known for the phrase "great minds thinking alike." He didn't coin that phrase. He was just notorious for stealing
Yeah.
and
And then
plagiarism.
when then someone else was like, someone else came up with that phrase. He was like, oh, great minds.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, it was funny because great minds, you had an idea, and I thought it would be also really cool if I stole that idea.
Yeah.
He would write poems, articles, short stories, and books, and then he'd translate the same things from other languages into English. Sometimes there'd be translations, sometimes adaptations or adaptations, or as it's known in modern English, plagiarism. And intellectual theft.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes he'd release a book as a translation from, say, Germany, only
Okay.
he would have actually written it himself.
So he was just stealing German works.
No, like sometimes he would say that he's translated somebody else's work, but it's not, it's just his own.
So why is he needs a publicist, I think.
He's
So he's writing all these
cracked.
poems and stories and he's like, a ghost told this to me. Oh, this is just a German work.
Yeah, and then there's some of them that the other way, where he's like, oh, this is mine. No, it's not, it's just a direct rip-off from like some Austrian guy.
Yeah.
Talking about his struggle. He had translations done from Irish, which he needed help with. So there, Kev, now, you were right
Yeah.
to...
to suspect him.
and he was grand with Spanish and German, and he didn't have a notion of Turkish or Arabic, but that didn't stop him.
Give it a whirl.
Yeah, he'll just go for it. He's like, I'm the guy who's known for translating things. I can kind of pick it up.
It's mostly intuition after the third or fourth language. You can sort of feel it out.
Maybe he's trolling though, or maybe it's just a big fun hoax. Like it's like an internet hoax, like crop circles
Yeah, maybe.
or the vaccine. Oh, and I'd mentioned earlier on that John Mitchell wrote his biography.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing that Mitchell did it, because while Mangan had started writing a short autobiography for himself, he never finished it. He didn't even finish the sentence he was writing at the time, which is...
My life story isn't all that interesting. It started... That was it. What did John Mitchell write as the foreword to this? He was a fine young man because he was white and he suffered under the oppression of the British. And I hope someday we can be a free nation, free to oppress people ourselves.
You think John Mitchell just does a foreword to every book and just says the same thing?
Yeah, it was a standard boilerplate. If you want John Mitchell to write your autobiography, if you want to get into the nation, you basically have to sign a clause that says Mitchell will write the foreword to your book.
Is it like the equivalent of a priest at the funeral of a young man from the country?
Yeah, he was a great Catholic. He loved mass.
He played the GAA and he loved his mother and he never bullied anyone. He would always have a great time for the lads. Boo! See there, all of his friends cheering him along right now.
They're all trying to talk to him as ghosts. Boo! Boo! They're all necromancers.
Necrochancers is what those fellas are.
Fucking necrochancer.
Now, this section now, Kevin, is called The End because it's the end of the story.
Makes sense.
Mangan had an awful time with the drinking and opium, obviously. So he was
he probably had a great time with it, and then just a slightly less good time afterwards.
At the end, yeah. But then also, I suppose, using the drink and the opium, he would use that to not feel so bad. So he probably did have a good time with it overall.
Yeah.
Until he died of cholera in 1849. At the age of only 46, Kev, which is good going.
Yeah, no, that's
considered.
Was it the Sligo cholera epidemic that I think that was around that time, wasn't it? It was like the 1830s or 40s. I don't know. People have been talking about it a lot over the last year because diseases.
It's not. You're thinking of the Roscommon water situation.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the current Roscommon pandemic that's been going on since the founding of Roscommon.
Yeah, it's Flint, Michigan and Roscommon. They're the two places in the world that really need some clean water.
Yeah. Where's Michael Moore's documentary on Roscommon?
One of Mangan's doctors knew a bit about his literary career once he'd been brought to hospital with the cholera and that. And he went into his room and questioned where all of his writing he'd done in the hospital had gone. And one of the orderlies, or nurses, or whatever they were, they'd said they'd burnt it.
Oh, well, Jason, she sounds like an out-of-orderly.
Oh! Ho, ho, ho!
What do you mean they burnt it? What? That can't be true.
Just because, also,
maybe
Kevin,
because he had cholera.
Just because I said nurse doesn't mean that it was a she. It could be a man.
Very good point. Very good
Yes,
point. In the 1840s, it probably was a man. It could have been a child at this time. Maybe they did burn his stuff because he had cholera. Maybe that was like to burn all your possessions so the cholera doesn't spread. I don't know how cholera works, but I'm sure the people of 1840s didn't really understand it either.
I suppose it could have also been like they probably thought he was chatting to the devil when he was having these ghost drinks. They're like, let's burn everything of his and him.
He's probably written down spells that caused this cholera outbreak. Let's burn all this stuff.
Historically, Kev, he's seen as a bit of a precursor to modernist writing and a big influence on Flann O'Brien.
Okay.
Who I'd be a fan of. I think you are as well.
Yeah,
do you like?
I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, Third Policeman's great.
I saw a one-man show on Miles and Goblin. That was not too long before lockdown. He was. Yeah, maybe we'll do an episode about him.
We should. We'll have to start reading stuff again, though.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's too much of a jump to make to imagine that he was an influence on Flann O'Brien, because he was well referred to by a lot of people at the time. Like Yeats thought he was class. He'd said, "To the soul of Clarence Mangan was tied the burning ribbon of genius." Okay. And then James Joyce wrote and read two essays. No,
is that your friend James?
Yes.
Okay.
And my other friend, Joyce.
Yeah.
Joyce wrote 2 essays about Mangan in 1905 and 1907. He also used Mangan as a character in one of his Dubliners shorts, Araby.
Oh.
The one about the young lad who wants to go to the bazaar to get a present for the girl he fancies.
Yeah.
Do you know that girl?
No.
That's Mangan's sister.
No way.
Yeah. Now, of Mangan's poetry...
So wait, he wrote a character where the guy tried to buy his sister a present?
No, he wrote, like, the guy that he's... I believe, if I remember that correctly, the young lad has to go to this bazaar, this, like, market thing to buy a present for this girl that he likes.
Yeah.
I think the older brother of that girl was based on Mangan.
What a shout-out.
I think, yeah, I've wrote 2 essays about him. I'm also going to give him a bit part reference.
It's a hell of a cameo.
It's a very good short story, though. It's very depressing at the end, like most of the Dubliners. Actually, all of the Dubliners' stories, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I like the one where the failed writer, his journalist friend comes back from London, and he's like obviously a big swinging dick, and he pretends to be nice to him or whatever, and then he goes home and gets drunk and beats his child. That's a good one.
Classic.
Yeah, classic Irish literature.
Yeah, but it reflected the times. I mean, the literature was depressing, but so was everything else.
Yeah, you could beat your child with the literature, hence was the density of it.
That's why they were thick.
Now, of Mangan's poetry, Joyce wrote, "Images interweave, their soft, luminous scarves and words ring like brilliant mail, and whether the song is of Ireland or of Istanbul, it is the same refrain, a prayer that peace may come again to her who has lost the moonlight pearl of his soul. One of the greatest romantic poets among those who use the lyrical form." So Joyce had said. And he also thought he went on a bit too much about Ireland being free.
Yeah, I guess. Joyce didn't care either way.
And this lad mainly wrote for like Republican papers and was always going on about it.
Yeah,
I don't know how much he actually cared, though. I think it was just like, people will read this. If I write about...
His stuff was heavily edited by John Mitchell. It was forwarded by John Mitchell, prefix and suffix by Mitchell.
Yeah.
And another thing about the Irish.
Here's a story about a ghost I met last night. Okay, I gotcha.
Yes.
Anyway, the Queen. What's her deal?
If this ghost, what if you made him Irish? That'd be interesting. And say the grave he's escaping from, maybe that's British oppression. Just a couple of notes. That's always your notes, John.
I'd asked you what did you want for lunch. I'm just saying.
But if we've got an agenda here.
The bread could be the representation of the firm grip that the English have over our nation.
And the chicken fillet in the roll could be a representation of tenacity. I don't know. I'm just the editor.
I'm just brainstorming, Clarence.
And Joyce said Clarence was the best poet from Ireland to Istanbul, or whether he was writing about Ireland or Istanbul.
Yeah.
One of which is a country, the other is a city. But also earlier on, you said he didn't know anything about Turkey. Or
doesn't need to.
It doesn't need to. Joyce didn't know anything about Turkey either. He thought Mangan was great at it.
Well, Joyce...
the Turks with their pharaohs and their pyramids, the crazy lot over there.
And to reiterate, he did say he was one of the greatest romantic poets among those to use the lyrical form. It's good. Better than any of the things I've read from Clarence Mangan or the descriptions of more talented writers about the work of Clarence Mangan.
If the poem describing your work is better than your body of work, that's not great.
That's what I think it'll happen with this podcast eventually.
Someone will do a better podcast about how good this podcast was.
Someone will write a poem about this podcast.
Ah, right, okay.
Now, a few other names you might have heard of. John Montague, Seamus Heaney.
Yeah.
They're fans as well.
Of course.
And lastly, but certainly not leastly, a one Shane McGowan of Pogues fame said he was an inspiration for both his work and for his life.
I liked his poems.
I don't know if he said life. That's me putting that in there.
I came for his poetry, but I stayed for his drinking.
Well, do you know the Pogue song, The Snake with the Eyes of Garnet?
Oh, the snake with the eyes of garnet. I think you can tell by that I do not know.
You just started singing random words to the tune of another well-known Irish song.
Yes. It worked 60% of the time.
Well, I'd asked you, Kev, because I don't... I wrote it down here. I don't know if I actually listened to that song, but I'll give you the lyrics.
Thanks for leading me into a trap there.
Yeah, that's the aim for this podcast. I just want to make you seem less intelligent, therefore I seem more.
Although I can see your eyes darting to the page when you ask me questions about stuff you clearly don't know.
Yes.
Did you read the snake in, the Pogue song that everyone knows?
Yeah, no, that's, again, this whole thing is just a mechanism, a vehicle for me to take you down a peg or two.
I haven't got any pegs left.
And not just this episode, this entire podcast.
The entire show.
Now, last night, as I lay dreaming, my way across the sea, James Mangan brought me comfort with laudanum and poachine. That's what McGowan said in that song. So it's, his grave's in Glasnevin Cemetery, like all the greats. And there's a bust of Mangan in Stephen's Green.
Okay, yeah, so the actual green, I guess, not the shopping centre.
No, yeah, in the actual outdoor park.
Fair.
Yes. He'd be known for his famous works would be poems called The Nameless One, Dark Rosaline, which I read earlier on, and or maybe just a part of it, and then Siberia, which I just gave those because they're short enough and they're good, and go have a read if anyone wants to, or don't. Just go Google how to make your own laudanum, or rewind this podcast.
That's the only thing we've taken away from this episode is how to make laudanum.
Pretty much, but I'm all right with it. I kind of do want to try it. I even though it was in Asia, because you could get opium over there, and I'd like to try things. I didn't go near it. I was like, if I had Kev with me, maybe. But now because he has experience in these matters, he'd be able to talk me through it.
But now you're in a country famous for its opioid.
Yeah, but it's not the same when you can get it easy. It's like when I buy weed. I don't want to, like, people say, oh, it's great, a dispensary, I want that. No, you want the weird, like, moments of, like, having to go to some drug dealer. And then this is a weird, like, can I leave now? Do I have to stay for half an hour and watch Adventure Time with him? Like, what's going on? I miss that.
Mates?
He starts messaging you to hang out when you're not there to buy weed. You're like, oh, you've misread this friendship.
Send you a message at 1 a.m. listing all the prices for all the products he's got over the next month, and then when you try and call him, doesn't answer for 3 days.
Who dis?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story of Clarence Mangan.
Good stuff. Great stuff. I know you're a big fan of him.
Well, yeah, because it's
as a style icon.
As a style icon and as a way to live my life, much like Shane MacGowan. I'd known his name because of the house I used to frequent on his street in Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some parties there, let me tell you. We didn't know that he was into all of this stuff, but it was like a spiritual session, just giving him his props.
His ghost there in the corner, sipping pints of Lagnum, wishing anyone could talk to him as he had once spoken to ghosts before.
Oh, nice way to wrap it up, Kev.
That's better than anything Magnum's ever said.
Well, be careful, because he'll probably steal it. He'll translate it to German and say it was the work of somebody else.
Well, that was great. Cool. Yeah, well, I'll go and read some of his poetry.
I probably should have told you that in advance, and then you could have done that for the podcast. But sure, look, too late now. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, I'd still prefer 60-drop dose of laudanum. Right, cool. Sure, look, we'll chat to you next week. Good luck.
Happy Tuesday to you.
Shafter.
See ya.